We've all heard stories about people getting arrested by the police for possessing drugs. But what if the very same officers inadvertently ended up inhaling those drugs while conducting their searches? Here are 6 unusual incidents where just that happened. Let's start with Officer Courtney Banck, who discovered drugs on a passenger during a routine traffic stop.
Possible exposure.
Tavares police said they're releasing this difficult footage of an officer who is now doing okay as a warning about how dangerous fentanyl can be. Courtney Sullivan with Tavares Police Department said Officer Courtney Banck found drugs on a passenger during a traffic...
As she opened the bag and realized it contained narcotics, she promptly closed it. Recognizing the potential danger, Banck quickly alerted her fellow officers through the radio, but they could hear her struggling to breathe. Concerned about the windy conditions, they decided to test the substance back at the police department to minimize exposure. However, when they arrived back at the spot, they found Officer Banck in a state of fluctuating consciousness. She had been given emergency medical treatment. Video footage shows her regaining consciousness and conversing with her colleagues for a brief period, only to lose consciousness again. Later, she was admitted to the hospital and successfully recovered from the perilous situation. Next, we have the account of a sheriff's deputy, David Five, who came perilously close to losing his life due to exposure to fentanyl. While handling fentanyl confiscated from a suspect's vehicle, an unexpected incident occurred. David suddenly stiffened and collapsed. His training officer, who happened to be nearby, acted swiftly and administered naloxone, a medication given to individuals who have overdosed on opioids. Throughout the incident, David remained conscious. However, when the news of this alarming episode made headlines, medical experts began to question whether the cause was truly fentanyl exposure. They suggested that the deputy's extreme stress might have played a significant role in what transpired.
With essentially 100% with surety that this was not fentanyl poisoning. When people get fentanyl poisoned, they don't just collapse like that.
This theory gains credibility when we examine a conversation David had with another officer at the time of the incident. In a video recording, he mentions previous experiences of fainting he had, indicating that something similar might have occurred then as well. Nevertheless, the widespread news of this incident heightened people's awareness and caution when dealing with substances similar to fentanyl. Moving on to the third incident, we have video footage captured on the primary camera of a Florida deputy officer. In this footage, the officer inadvertently got exposed to fentanyl while carrying out his routine search procedures. As the effects of fentanyl exposure began to take a toll on him, he quickly sought assistance from one of his fellow officers when he found it increasingly difficult to breathe.
I just got really lightheaded.
You did?
Yeah.
Gotta go.
Call EMS.
Have a seat.
Have a seat.
Right now. On Sunday, what are you doing on Tuesday?
Working.
Nah.
Come on.
I got your keys, all right?
Thank you.
Where's your brother live? Miami?
Yeah.
Both of them?
My little brother lives at home.
Alright.
My hands are really shaky.
It's alright. He was testing drugs and fell out. He walked over, said he's lightheaded.
Prompt action was taken as his colleague administered immediate emergency medical treatment, and the incident was promptly reported to the department. A rescue team, accompanied by other officers, swiftly arrived at the scene. The affected officer was then transported to the hospital for further care and evaluation. In the fourth incident, we have a body cam recording capturing the rescue of a 35-year-old woman who had suffered a fentanyl overdose. It took 2 doses of Narcan to bring her back from the brink of a life-threatening condition. However, during the subsequent search of her car, one of the officers discovered heroin and ended up exposed to the same substances at a close range. This exposure left the officer feeling weak and compelled him to seek assistance from his fellow officers.
The trooper that administered the Narcan, he had leaned over that passenger side of her vehicle, and a short while later, while he was interviewing witnesses,
he said he lost a lot of strength in his legs. He just felt almost as if he was on a cloud of air.
His colleagues acted swiftly and administered 2 doses of Narcan to help revive the affected officer. He quickly regained consciousness. Both the officer and the overdose victim were then transported to the hospital for further medical attention. Doctors also highlighted the dangerous consequences of being exposed to these substances at such close proximity.
The chance of overdose from that kind of contact is incredibly unlikely. Obviously, exposure to the eyes or inside the nose, inside the mouth can increase that risk, but the fact of seeing a small amount, it is very difficult to aerosolize this medicine.
In this final video clip, we witness how even the slightest contact with fentanyl can pose a life-threatening risk to individuals. A police officer from Bartlesville was in the process of handling drug evidence when an unexpected incident occurred. As he came into contact with fentanyl, the officer began to experience fainting spells and had difficulty breathing. Fortunately, his alert colleagues noticed his distress and swiftly came to his aid. They promptly administered Narcan and subsequently transported him to the hospital for further medical care. The officer later spoke to the media, expressing his gratitude for the presence of Narcan and the training received by the troopers in dealing with such critical situations. If you've enjoyed watching this video, subscribing to our channel would greatly support us in continuing to create more amazing content. Thank you very much for tuning in.